The Iowa Medical Society is the state's largest professional organization for physicians, both allopathic and osteopathic. We provide a forum for professionalism and network for physicians across the state. We are advocates for physicians both at the state and federal levels of government. Our former space was very large, relatively dark. It was very compartmentalized, and it didn't allow the collaboration that we needed. It also was located in the suburbs. And given that so much of what we do is advocacy, we wanted to reposition ourselves closer to the Capitol, both for our staff and for our physicians.
I had worked in that space for 19 years and just didn't know anything else. And for me, it was very functional, very useful. Didn't really think enough about what else we could become. Once we toured this space and decided this was where the location was going to be, you kind of saw in your mind what this space could become, but once it became functional and we moved in, it really exceeded my expectations for the space.
It's bright and it's inviting, and I just see a level of interaction that I didn't see before.
I spent a lot of time in various working conditions, and this is by far the best office in which I've ever worked.
There are times at the end of the day when I'm one of the last ones here, I'll just kind of walk around just to kind of take it in and still soak it in. It's been months since we've been here. There's just so many things that I like best about this space. One is just the light. The Saxton designers really played on that very, very well. While you still have a lot of private offices on the outside, we've utilized the glass wall concept for the interior wall, and that's allowed the light to come streaming through to the inside of the building. So all the employees that have more interior offices are taking advantage of that light as well.
We purposefully built collaborative spaces with dry erase walls so that staff would leave their offices and come together and work together in these spaces, and I'm really finding the creativity has jumped.
Our staff can leave their normal workspaces and go to a more common area, use their laptops there, use a tablet. We have writable walls in those spaces so they can make notes on a wall, they can post up different diagrams of things and mark on those. So it's been a different way to do their work, and it really encourages that collaboration, that innovation.
It usually starts with somebody going out and scribbling. They need a bigger space to write whatever they're thinking about, and so they'll go out and write on the wall, and then people start walking past on their way to the kitchen or on their way to someone else's office, and we'll start pulling them in, and then eventually we've got a crowd gathered all working on the same wall together.
Sometimes Claire uses the space to tell us what accomplishments we've had for the week, which just makes you feel more connected as an organization and getting out of those silos like we used to be in. I know that some of my coworkers said that they now have a new friend because somebody who used to be on one end of the building is now next to them. And so even though they've worked together for years, they work more closely because they're right next to each other.
You see a lot more unplanned coordination occurring with in between office staff, departments coming together in new ways. Water cooler conversation doesn't happen when you don't have a water cooler. It happens here because the space is designed to encourage it.
Well, with the Iowa Medical Society being in the healthcare industry, it's always been important for us to try to be more on the leading edge of health and wellness. And so when we designed the space, we wanted to incorporate some of those concepts to show that that's part of what we're about. So all the things like natural light coming in, workstations that can move up and down so you can adjust and work a little bit differently, are all things going to impact somebody's perceptions and their attitudes and their production within the office, so that they just feel better about the work that they're doing. And I think when you can improve the people's attitudes and you can improve their work environment, I think just naturally that leads to a more healthy and a better well-being for our employees.
I never would have imagined how our organization would be so transformed, both physically and emotionally, and it was just wonderful.
I love the space. I love working here. I think our staff loves working here, and it's just a much better environment to come to work to every day.
It's what I never knew we always needed.